This is going to be the craziest shit I've ever posted, but I didn't want to give this nightmare any more views. Here we go.
I have a confession that I don't want to make. My ego does not want me to share this with the world. And I realized that after having a conversation with two really incredible humans in my life today, that I have been really suppressing and shoving down something for the last 4 months, that is really impacting the way that I'm showing up in my business. And I know a lot of you follow me because you love the way that I have helped you regulate. You love the way that I've taught you about trauma. You have really enjoyed learning from me. And my genuine hope is that after I say this, that you still like me. I hope you still like me. I hope you still think well of me the way you did. So I didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I voted for Trump. And yes, I am a multiracial owner of a trauma institute, mom of a non-binary kiddo, and somebody who works in the social justice, social work spaces, helping people with trauma recovery and nervous system regulation.
So this doctor just admit that she voted for 47, and I feel extremely like she has violated her Hippocratic oath to do no harm, because she is working with trauma patients of whom she is helping them get through the trauma of 47 winning, yet she was an active voter and supporter of the same person that voted for the KKK, or the KKK voted for. That doesn't work. That does not work. She's feeling some kind of way and feeling some kind of guilt and shame for doing so, because everyone she talks to is devastated over this, and she's like, but I voted for him. She hasn't told us why. Keep in mind, she's just saying, I'm getting attacked for my vote. She hasn't clearly tried to explain that to anyone. So what did she vote for? Everything he stands for? Because that makes her a problem.
So some of you, your flabbers are gasted right now, right? Some of you have already went ahead and scrolled. Some of you are starting to write comments about how upset you are, and that's cool.
I did almost scroll the moment she said she voted for 47, but I decided, this is a trauma doctor. She's gonna make this make sense. It's gonna come full circle, and I'm gonna be able to see, while Kanye first started losing his mind, I was able to understand him. I still might if I gave it some time, but I get a little bit more of what seems crazy. It's not as crazy as it seems when you consider what's important to them. So
here's the thing. This is actually not about how I voted. I have been suppressing and repressing my authentic self-expression, not around who I voted for, what my politics are, because I actually do not think that who you vote for is the way in which I should classify you, or that anybody should classify you. I do not think that is the most interesting thing about you. I do not think that is the most important thing about you. And I have really learned not to make assumptions about people based on who they voted for after experiencing what I've experienced.
Who you vote for is not nearly the most interesting thing about most of us. But when somebody makes their whole business off of hurting others, becomes a lot more interesting.
4 years ago, I remember going on Facebook and talking about how I was really struggling to choose who I was going to vote for. And I got absolutely ripped apart. Absolutely just got my hindquarters handed to me by people who told me that who wanted to remind me that I was black and I was a woman and I was a nurse and I was somebody in these social wellness spaces. And so how could I even think about voting any other way than one way? I got called an Uncle Tom. I got called names that I cannot repeat on here. I was just dragged for sharing that I was struggling to choose between what felt like a rock and a hard place. And this election felt very similar to me. And the thing that made it not feel similar, the thing that kind of really pushed me over into one camp, was actually the very values and the very things that we teach at our trauma institute. I was listening to people tell me, who were saying that they were tolerant and kind and compassionate and cared about humanity and really cared about the wellness of all people. I was listening to them say things and call people names and do things for the sake of justice and the sake of tolerance that were so out of alignment with those values that I couldn't not see it anymore.
So in this section, she talks about giving people a space to say whatever their deepest and darkest is. And as somebody who is part of the problem, she felt like she was being kind of closeted. But really, what she was feeling, in my non-professional opinion, was guilt. Because you voted for the things that were making these guys, these clients, these patients, uncomfortable. What you were feeling is called guilt. You had choice and agency. Nobody took that from you. You just need to know what that choice constituted. And I don't know how, as a professional, you missed it.
And after the election, I had a conversation with a very dear human in my life. And one of the things I said to them is, at our institute, we teach about 3 core needs. We teach about the need for physical safety, psychological safety, and choice and agency. And the humans that I am hearing tell me that they are the most scared and they are terrified and they are so angry and so upset, and that I am holding space for. I am creating and helping foster regulation in these humans after the election. I am supporting them. They are leaning on me to become more regulated. They are coming to me to help them recover from what feels like a very traumatic experience. And I am helping them and they are grateful for it. They are actively able to self-express. They are able to tell me, they're able to talk about in the world, in public, how scared they are and how worried they are and how angry they are and how dysregulated they are. And
And this is where you stop being a doctor and start being a child. This is the moment where you should have stopped, but you didn't, because you would never consider anybody but yourself. You're saying that you've been considering all these people, but you haven't, because if you had, you wouldn't have voted for him, right? Like, real talk, you voted against them. So what you're saying is they were able to say how upset they were in public. You were holding private space that they're allowed to say how upset they are in public. And you can't. And you can't understand that it's the quality of the information. It's the actual specific information that they're sharing that matters. They're sharing that their actual rights are being stolen. You're sharing you voted for their rights to be stolen. I would be embarrassed too.
I'm sitting here knowing that if I choose to even share where I'm coming from, I'm going to get canceled. I'm going to lose business. I'm going to lose psychological safety with humans who trusted me and who cared about me as a person until they find out this thing.
So the problem I'm having with this whole thing is that she feels like she had everybody on her side until she revealed the truth about herself. And instead of acknowledging that once she took accountability for her choice, her entire business model was going to be exposed, like, that was her bad choice. It was also bad judgment to vote that way. But you have choice and agency. You can choose whatever you want. You can also share whatever you want. But the fact is, you were tired of masking. You were tired of everybody not knowing that you were betraying them. You'd rather everybody know that you betrayed them and choose you anyway. That is a brazen move. And honestly, I respect you for that. I do not, however, respect you for this victimist stuff. You're not a victim. You terrorized your entire community, and then you got mad when they called you on it.
And it reminded me of so many experiences I had when I was in high school and in college, and I would end up in these areas where people were racist. People were like actively, capital R, racist. And they wouldn't realize that I was part black. And they would say things, and I would recognize, like, oh, I'm not safe here. I can't let people know that this is the identity that I hold, because if I do, I'm going to get torn to bits. And that was exactly what this felt like.
And now she has the audacity to compare it to the ability to pass in white space, but hearing people say things about black people that she did not speak up against. So she actually has never fought a black day in her life. And she has the audacity to compare being able to hide her blackness around people who didn't care for black people. I'm still struggling to hear your struggle, baby. I couldn't stay in that space because they were talking about me. And you're able to hide, like, I pass as a heterosexual woman. So I'm able to hear all that gay talk because people think black people hate gays. Well, black people are gays. So, yeah. But in those spaces, I don't stay silent. I don't let them feel comfortable saying things around me because it's not okay. You're talking the talk, but you ain't walking the walk. And now you want us to feel bad for you?
And so for the last 4 months, I have been kind of just out here preaching regulation and helping people be more, get to a place where they can have a broader perspective, and they can come out of this like absolute terror state and really recognize that most of us, practically 100% of us, really just want everyone to be able to be physically safe and to feel like they belong and to feel like they're loved and to feel like they have some sort of choice and agency in their lives. And that's really it. That's what 99.999% of us want.
That's so funny that you decided to give some figures. I'm going to do you one better. I'm not going to give you any figures, but I can guarantee that 99.999% does want that. But we know that that doesn't come on the other side of voting for a candidate that swears to take all that away. You still don't get it. You think choice and agency is what you're being attacked for. Baby, you're not being attacked. You're being held accountable for lying, cheating, and stealing from the same community you're making money off of.
So I've been working to do that. And the entire time I've been doing this, there's been this part of me that's like, yeah, but if they just knew. If they knew, Lee, if they knew that this is what you did, if they knew that this is, and it doesn't even matter why. It doesn't matter your justifications. It doesn't matter, the fact that you studied this for dozens of hours and hours and hours and just like really felt into this and like tried to make the best choice you could. It doesn't matter.
You still haven't taken accountability for the choice you made, which was to vote against all of your patients, to vote to keep your patients, to make sure you had a steady stream of clientele. Like, you're not taking accountability for that part. You're not understanding that your foundation and everybody who has received services from you can come together and sue you because you misrepresented yourself as a safe space, and now you've harmed every single person you helped. You really need to learn when to keep your mouth shut, and you also need some Black friends. They'll square you away. And I know this because I didn't used to be offended by people calling me an Oreo, and now I am, because now I actually understand what they're trying to say. That there's no way a Black person can have insides this pure unless it's white, right?
The moment they find this out, you're done. You're cooked. And what I realized is I want to run a business like this because the very thing I teach people to do is to be regulated and to be able to create spaces for others to come in and feel safe and feel like they belong and feel like they care. And I am doing this and I am considering everybody else and I'm leaving myself out.
You're not leaving yourself out. You chose yourself when you voted for him. You did not have to tell everybody that you're a jerk. You chose to tell everyone you're a jerk. So you made a jerky decision. You told people you made a jerky decision. And now people are calling you a jerk because you made a jerky decision. And you're sitting up here like a victim. There's not much that's grosser than that.
So I'm done doing that. If the way in which somebody votes determines if you can love them or like them or be in connection with them or not, okay, that's your choice. If you learning this about me means that you no longer want to be connected to me or you want to bash my business or you want to do whatever, that is your choice. And I really invite you to consider what has changed. Because for the last 4 months, we've been connected. For the last however long, we've been connected. What has changed
is now everybody knows that you voted to keep them traumatized. Now what changed is they know that you were wearing a mask the whole time, that you've been lying to everyone's face. By you withholding that information and then providing them care, you told them you were a safe space, but you literally voted to hurt them. That is what changed. You changed. Actually, you didn't change. You didn't change. You exposed yourself. Now we know. You are not safe. You are not the expert. You are not the person to go to. You're the person who keeps us hurt and then offers us a shoulder to cry on. That's the definition of a monster in human form.
And you liked me, and we got along, and you thought we held some of the same values, and I think we still do. And we cared about a lot of the same things. And so is it possible? Is it possible that maybe whatever we identify with politically is not the most important identity that we hold?
You keep simplifying it to a vote. Voting for Donald Trump wasn't just a vote. It was the same vote that the KKK made. You made the same choice. You may have tried to have different reasons, but that doesn't mean you don't agree that that candidate can do both of those things.
Is it possible that diversity of thought is the priority that we get to focus on moving forward as American citizens and as a world? And that is the one thing that will save us all. Is it possible that being able to tolerate someone else believing something that scares us and being able to get into conversation with them, that might be the very answer to things actually going in a direction that we want them to go? So again, you're free to do whatever you do. Unfollow me, follow me, share, don't share. And this isn't a place for you to inject your lack of psychological safety or to try to make me feel bad about what I did or how I see the world anymore, because I'm not willing to hurt myself that way anymore.
You're not willing to hurt yourself anymore. You're just willing to hurt everybody else. We're not here talking about whatever the heck. You keep minimizing the situation because it's so small to you, but it's enough for you to make a TikTok and ruin your life. Well, here's your life getting ruined. Well, people tell you exactly how you hurt them, because that's also what you teach, right? Accountability. You're not taking any accountability for your part in this. The fact that you told everybody you were safe and then you voted to keep them hurt. Where's your accountability? It's completely missing. This is a woe is me post. And whoa.
And I'm no longer willing to be scared of other people hurting me that way either. So, if you want to be in a space where diversity of thought is really welcomed and prioritized, and you want to be in a space where your identities are not what we are going to judge you over, then hi, I'm Dr. Lee. welcome to our institute. I hope you stay.
In a nutshell, hi, I'm Dr. Lee. I want you to believe that this is just me expressing my diversity of thought, but really you didn't express any thought. You didn't consider anybody but yourself. So there's one thing about not considering yourself, and I can see how that's a problem. But the fact that you considered nobody else, that's not the same thing. You are allowed to think whatever you want. You're allowed to do whatever you want. You're allowed to be whomever you want. But you also are not in charge of how people receive you. Like, you can do your best to mitigate the potential damages, but ultimately, people are going to perceive you as you show up to them. And every time you decided to vote against them and then take their money, that's where it became a problem, and that's where you can be sued, is because you did not practice like what you wrote in your bylaws or your mission statement is not how you operate. And this is a class action suit, depending on how many people you've hurt and then made money off of. You can block me, but you're going to see this. And I'm pretty sure we can come for your license. Because don't you have a Hippocratic oath to do no harm?